You guys are hearing me loud and clear?
Yeah,
Yes,
you're good.
perfectly.
I'm trying to get you through my microphone so you're really getting a nice clear signal.
And we are now live at the House of Horrors, episode 17. And here with Brian Bremer. Hello.
Hey, everybody.
Hi. Thanks for joining us. How you doing tonight?
Doing great. Thanks for having me, Stephen. And I was just saying, I was really hoping to, I love Stephen. I've met him in person before, but I was really hoping to meet Miss Boomstick tonight. I'm so happy that she's here. And we're talking about the Pumpkinhead t-shirt and how that made Lance Henriksen's day at the convention. I was going to tell you, for all the stuff he's done, he's so fond of this movie. And we had such a great time making this movie. And we all remember it. Because like for me, it was my first film ever. And we just remember it so fondly and working all night in Topanga Canyon and drinking Jolt soda, which they don't even make anymore because I think it killed. I'm not gonna say that. And it's just such a great memory for all of us. And he was at a convention here in Atlanta a few years ago, and one of my friends went down, and he signed a really nice little picture to me. It said "Miss you, Bunt," and it's him and the creature. And I keep that in my office. He's such a sweet guy. You met him. If anybody's ever met him, he's like the sweetest guy you ever want to meet.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, totally real.
Yeah, he's going to be at Spooky Empire in October.
I know.
So, yeah, I'll be seeing him.
Spooky Empire in October. I tried to get into Spooky, and I've been talking to Gina. It was too late for me to get in, but I think I'll be there at the next show that they do, which would be like the spring or something of next year.
You know what? You could do a tricky way to get in. They're having like a kids area, and there's still tables left if you want to like in there.
Well, great. I'll think about that. I'll definitely think about that.
It's the spooky area for kids.
Well, I'll dress up in my Bunt costume and I'll go.
You got the right size Pumpkinhead t-shirt, right? The right Pumpkinhead t-shirt size.
That's hilarious. Well, maybe I will. No, I think I'll hit Spooky next year. I just started doing cons because these movies have followed me my whole life, and they're so dear to my heart. And I love the people that love the movies and like to talk about them. And people have asked me to do cons for a long time, and it's just never worked out that I could actually do it because I produce TV and I'm a voice actor and I do all kinds of things. And then Peter Valderrama at Silver Screen Appearances approached me and said, well, come to this show in Tampa. And that's where I met Stephen. And I'm so glad I did. I loved it. But I kind of just started doing shows. So I'm kind of new to the show circuit. But it was so great to meet you and to meet people who love the movie. So I'm doing a couple more coming up that we could talk about later. But I can't wait to come out again and meet people. And I hope I'm doing one in Florida. I hope that you guys can come to Miss Boomstick.
I'm not in Florida. So
where are you?
I'm in Wisconsin.
Oh, cool.
Well, technically, right now I'm in Illinois because I'm visiting family for the weekend, but I'm normally in Wisconsin.
Well, good. Well, I'll get to meet you too because there's tons of shows out there. Or I'll just come stay with you and your family.
Just come have a horror marathon.
Why
whatever.
Not? Yeah, why not? That's funny.
And we got project movie on our garage door. And
yeah, we can do it. We can do a lecture. We can do a talk. Well, I'll say, now stop the movie here. Now, let me tell you, the reason you can see the wire that's lifting up on my leg here is because
do a live commentary show.
We should totally do that, guys. We should do that. We should show the movie and just do a live commentary.
That would be awesome.
Yeah, that would be a lot of fun.
Yes,
we could even do that online. Even do like a night of the movie. And
totally.
Yeah.
I have a good friend, Eric Solanas. I don't know if he's going to be on with us tonight, but he lives in Omaha. And he approached me. We met at Facebook, but he has a group that every year they show Pumpkinhead at Halloween, and they have a Pumpkinhead watch party, and they do all this special food, and they have a Pumpkinhead song that they all sing together. And of course, it's been virtual this last year.
Right.
But because it was virtual the last year, they asked me to go, and I did virtually.
Right.
It was so much fun. And that was kind of what we did. I kind of had to stop talking because I'll talk through the whole movie. You know what I mean? Anyway, but shout out to Eric if he's watching tonight. I hope he is.
My first question for you.
You have questions?
No, we're just chilling, Well, we can do that too. It's part of it. Yeah, I guess we'll ask you a few, whatever.
I'm having my Labor Day cocktail.
Hey, go for it.
It's just iced tea, y'all.
Sure. Homemade, right?
I made it myself about 5 minutes ago.
So, what movies inspired you? And I assume you took drama throughout school, or?
I did. I actually, when I in junior high school and high school, I found the drama club, and that's sort of where I found my tribe and my people. I just took to the people. I actually fell in love for the first time in drama club, and we went all over this. I'm from North Carolina, but lived in South Carolina at the time. And we went all over the state and competed in drama competitions and things like that, and won lots of awards. And I wrote a play that got me a full scholarship to Pepperdine University for playwriting and acting. So I was able to go a full ride to Pepperdine, which got me to LA, which was not where I thought I'd be. I thought I was going to be at the University of South Carolina because my dad's like, you're going to get in-state tuition. That's what we're going to do. And then I got this scholarship at the last minute that took me to California. And that's where I started. That's when I did Pumpkinhead. It's when I did Silent Night 5. It's when I did Society, when I was out there in LA. But the movies that inspire me, I mean, the biggest movie that inspired me, and this is going to sound like a really cliche answer, but is Star Wars. I was 11 years old. I'm dating myself. I didn't want to, but I was 11 years old when the movie came out. It came out in the summer of 1977. And I remember I went to Luther Ridge Christian Camp. That's where my dad sent me every summer. And as we were driving to Luther Ridge for 2 weeks, and, it was a camp where you made God size, you played basketball, there was no like Sleepaway Massacre or anything like that. It was like a real summer camp. And Star Wars had come out. But it was no big deal. It was just a movie that was released. It like every other movie. I think Jaws was released that summer too. I think Jaws is from 77 as well. Mm-hmm. That's like the golden era of horror and sci-fi. Yeah. Well, I was at Luther Ridge which is a Lutheran camp. I was there for 2 weeks. And when I got out and Dad was bringing me home, he's like, we got to go see this movie, Star Wars, son. It's everybody's talking about it. I don't know what it's about, but let's go see it. So he took me to see it, and he loved it because he said, oh, my God, it's like a Western in space. This is great. There's nothing like this. I was buying like from the get-go. I saw it 13 times in the theater that year. Every toy I had for the next 5 years was a Star Wars toy. And still, I don't have any near me here, but if someone wants to get me something for Christmas or my birthday, it's always Star Wars related. So that really influenced me. Now, did that make me want to become an actor? Not really. It made me love the movies. What made me want to become an actor was that I fell in love with the process of acting. Right. I fell in love with becoming other characters. And that's still my favorite work to do, is when I get to actually like embody a completely different character. Like Bunt Wallace in Pumpkinhead. I'm not that kid. I'm not from the Appalachian backwoods. I'm from North Carolina. So I relate to that culture a little bit. My upbringing was nothing like that. But that was a real character. And my very first feature film, and Stan Winston was incredible, incredibly kind, incredible to work with, and really like took it seriously. Mm-hmm. And one thing that Lance says, and any of you guys that are creatives or that are actors or have any creative aspiration, Lance actually says in his book, he says, don't ever sell the work short. When I booked Pumpkinhead, my agent, I had a big agent in LA, and he called me in the office. He goes, well, kid, it's a horror movie. Everybody's got to do a horror movie to start their career. I'm like, oh, okay, whatever. But I didn't treat it like, oh, it's just a horror movie. I didn't do that with Silent Night 5. I didn't do that with Society. Like, you go in and you do the work, and you take it seriously. And that serves the work. And that, to me, I think all of us did that. And that's why those movies that I was in, and other movies like the early Freddy movies and Sleepaway Camp, that's why they survive, because we took them seriously. We weren't being campy, and we were like really in that moment. And Stan was a great director. I think directing movies gave him a spastic colon. I think he would have told you that if he were here today, God rest his soul. And he swore after Pumpkinhead that he would never make another movie. He made one more. He directed Monster Squad. That was it. He never directed another movie. He didn't like the process of dealing with the executives, and it was something. I mean, I remember shouting matches between the De Laurentiis executives and him on the set about budget and effects, and Stan didn't want to cut any corners, and he didn't. And the great thing about those movies is that's the early days. That's all practical effects. Yeah, Pumpkin had like 8 heads in the makeup room that could continuously look more and more like Lance as the movie went on. And they were all articulated heads with hydraulics and mechanics. Tom Woodruff was in the suit. There's no CGI in that movie at all, and it doesn't need it. Right. That's what I love about that era of our genre. Yeah.
Right. I think that's like why I like them so much. That's what got me like loving practical effects, is those, and like the greats like Pumpkinhead and whatnot.
My favorite special effects story, I did a movie for Toby Hooper, Texas Chainsaw Massacre, Toby Hooper, called Spontaneous Combustion. I got to work with Toby and actually got to be good friends with him. and I went to his house in Bel Air to screen the movie he made about the Marquis de Sade. You probably have no idea what this is. Do you guys know about this?
I don't think so.
Not off the top of my head, no.
Okay. So he made a movie about the Marquis de Sade. Toby Hooper did, and it starred Robert Englund.
Mm-hmm.
Robert Englund was the Marquis de Sade. It was so edgy that it never could get released in the United States. But I went to his house and we watched a screening of it. He had this big old mansion in Bel Air, and a movie theater screen dropped out of his ceiling, in front of his fireplace. And we're watching. I'm going, I'm sitting here with Toby Hooper watching this thing. But the coolest thing about, if you haven't seen Spontaneous Combustion, it's a lot of fun. It's really cool. And I'm just in the very beginning, like in the 1950s section, which was really fun to shoot. But I will never forget talking about practical effects. Miss Boomstick, there are a lot of fire effects. And Toby's son, Tony, did a lot of the fire effects on their backyard barbecue grill with a rotisserie spit covered in tinfoil with holes punched in it. And he would just roll the spit. And then they'd film it on film. And as he's rolling the spit, those fire punches are just like popping through. I'll never forget that. And that's when I thought the great thing about our movies is, and even today, especially the lower budget independent horrors, this is the pioneer filmmaking. This is really where the experiments happen, because these filmmakers don't have any money. I mean, Toby had money, but not that much. It wasn't a $20 million film.
No.
So they have to innovate because they don't have money. And that's where all the innovations in cinema have come from throughout the years. So that, Stephen, is probably when I fell in love with the genre. When I was standing in Toby Hooper's backyard with his son Tony, watching them film these fire effects on the barbecue, and then we made chicken and everybody ate, and it was wonderful.
Multi-use.
Exactly.
Multi-use barbecue. That's funny.
You use propane for that right now. I recommend propane.
No doubt, man. No doubt.
So since Pumpkinhead was your first, and then Society came out within a year apart, how was that filming back to back and changing from one character being the hero and then literally a rich monster in the next one?
It was great. I mean, that was really, I got hired for Society because of Pumpkinhead. Okay. We actually filmed them further apart than it seems, because Pumpkinhead was filmed in 89, but it didn't come out in the theaters till 91. 90, 89 or 90. I think 89. We filmed it in, I don't even know. I think we filmed it in 89 and it came out in 91. It was only in the theaters for a couple of weeks and it got pulled. And then MGM bought it, put it on the shelf, sold it to Sci-Fi Channel, and Sci-Fi Channel started showing it like crazy. And that's when you guys got to know it, because it came out into the public consciousness. So it's funny how things are made and they get shelved. But Society was right after that. I was hired because of Pumpkinhead. It was a lot of fun. I have to tell you, with Society, none of us had any idea what we were making.
Yeah.
We had no idea. We were all going, wow, this is really bizarre. But it was really fun because it's kind of like a twisted Beverly Hills 90210. So, right? So we got to shoot it in these really beautiful homes in Malibu, like the pool party scene is in this incredible home in Malibu. And I actually was in school at Pepperdine, and I finished class and had to drive down for the night shoot, but I just drove right down to this home that was I'll never forget it. And right on the ocean, this beautiful thing. We shot at the Beach Club in Malibu. So we shot at all these really ritzy, rich locations. And I've always found it really fun to pretend to be rich. Because I ain't. I mean, that kind of money, So it was really fun. And what was fun about that character is that I didn't approach him as an alien or as because they're not aliens. They've actually been here as long as
on Earth,
humanity, right? They're another species. But I just got to approach him as the archetype of kind of the nerdy, uptight, class president who just is getting challenged on every level, and he can't understand it. He can't it doesn't compute. That's why he can't stand Billy, and he basically cuts his own throat and freaks Billy out at the debate. That was a lot of fun. And all those guys are still around. Billy's awesome. Ben Ferguson is amazing. And we had a lot of fun. We had fun on the beach. That was really a fun shoot. Then we went into the studio with Screaming Mad George to do the shunt scene, which is the big finale where we basically eat everybody and eat each other and everything, whatever that. And that's when I think all of our minds were like, what is it? And standing in it, we're covered in glycerin or Methicil is what it's called.
That's what I was going to ask you about. That was one of my questions. Like, how many takes did that take? And I'm sure, like, clean up and mess it up, or how
we shot a full week of night shoots to get the entire sequence. So you're in the studio in your underwear, covered in basically Methicil, which is the same gelatin that they put in McDonald's milkshakes. By the way, Miss Boomstick, Stephen, I want to tell you. The next time you have a McDonald's milkshake, think about me covered in a milkshake. Please. I'd love for you to. But anyway.
Bremer flavor.
Tastes like people. Tastes like chicken.
That's going to be McDonald's next commercial for their milkshake.
I'm going to society. I'm taking my son to McDonald's, and we're going to get that. And I'm going to. He hates when I do stuff like that. I'll just take a sip. Tastes like people.
Tastes like people. Oh my God, we are going to digress. This is going to be a fun hour. So, we're in the studio for a full week. It's daytime, but it seems like nighttime. The thing about Methicil is it lowers your body temperature. So we're all basically freezing for the entire week in between takes, and they're putting robes on us, but then they have to douse us with the Methicil again to make us all greasy and gross.
Right.
But it was really cool. And I tell you what, when that movie came out, it couldn't get a release in the United States. You guys might know this history.
Yeah.
It was considered too distasteful, too avant-garde, too out there. And it didn't get a release in the United States. It got a release in Great Britain. And it became, for that summer, the #1 science fiction film in Great Britain, which I've always been very proud of. I'm very big in London. I'm not. I'm actually the same height there as I am here. But I always was proud of that, because I actually do love London. One of my best friends lives in England, and I love going to London. And their sensibility is just a little bit different. But they immediately took to that, upper class basically eating the lower class. And what's interesting about that movie is just in the last couple of years, it's had this like weird resurgence. Like more and more people are seeing it. Yeah, people have always talked to me about Pumpkinhead and Silent Night 5, and people send me pictures and things from those films. Just in the last, I would say, year and a half, people are seeing Society.
Right. I want to say it was last year. I don't really remember my time scale or not, but right now I know it's on Shudder, and I don't know if you know who Joe Bob Briggs is, but he showed it on the Last Drive-In. It's a TV series, and where he'd stop and he would actually talk about the movie as well. So I know it got introduced to a lot of people that watched the Last Drive-In. I want to say it was within the last couple years, maybe, because that's the first time I've ever watched it, is when it got premiered on the Last Drive-In. And then I watched it again, I think last week or week before, to kind of refresh my memory about it. But yeah,
and that's how it works. That's the way it happens. These movies will float out there kind of in the subculture, and then somebody will pick it up. And there you go. Wow, that's cool. I didn't know Joe Bob Briggs had shown it. That's very, very cool.
Yeah, I want to say it's season 2. I couldn't tell you the episode because I'm not at home. I can't really look. But I want to say it's season 2 of The Last Drive-In.
Thank you. I'll check that out.
Yeah,
that's very cool. I might do a show with Joe Bob next year in the spring. They're talking about it. He's doing something up in like Pennsylvania, or I don't know everything about it.
Yeah, they've been doing. There's a drive-in out there that he's been doing something out there.
That's the thing.
Yeah,
that's the thing.
I'm like huge into that, so I'm like always following that stuff. I watch all his stuff.
Just want to say real quick.
I've been a huge fan since the '90s of him.
I love him. Me too. Yeah. I've always been a big fan of his.
Oh, yeah.
And I would love to meet him and to work with him. And Peter.
Go away, Steve. We got this.
I was going to say, someone in the room wanted to tell you, Charles. I want to make sure while he's still here. Charles did say you're his favorite in Pumpkinhead.
Oh, thank you, Charles. I really appreciate that. That means a lot. Thank you very much for saying that. Thank you so much.
I was trying to read the comments there, Boom.
Well, yeah, so you see the comments, but I don't see the comments, right? Oh, I see.
You should be able to see the comments too, I think. I don't know. On the side, I don't know. I guess they should be up for you.
I see a window for it, but I don't. But that's okay.
Oh, it is. You have to open it up. Yeah, it's weird. Like I'm the only one that has it open for whatever reason.
I have it open on my other phone, and I don't even see any comments besides the last one I posted. I said hi to Doomsday,
and then Charles popped up, and then I said, "Hey, Charles."
Yeah, that's the last comment I see.
Well, as long as you guys can see him, I don't see him, but I'll rely on you guys. I see the window, but I don't. Oh, here, comments. Oh, here we go. Hi, Stephen. Hey, hi. Hi, Charles. Charles Walker. Oh, hey. Charles Walker, do you go by Chuck? Where do you live, Charles? If he's still here.
If he's still here. But yeah, we can talk while he replies, whatever. So.
Oh, I have a spot on my screen. It looks like a great big zit.
It's the camera lens.
It's the lens. It ain't me. It's the lens. Oh, you see my Emmy back there? I wanted to make sure you see my Emmy.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, nice. You can't it. Okay, so that's actually not an Emmy.
Oh.
And it's not mine. That's my partner's Emmy. And it's actually an Addy. But that brings me to, I'm a voice actor. That's my primary focus. I have been for the last 20 years. I don't turn movies down at all. I haven't been actively pursuing on camera just because I fell in love with voice acting. So I'm Nick in the Walking Dead video game. I got to be Mr. Peanut last Christmas for Planters Peanuts for the holiday campaign. And then lots of stuff you wouldn't see. I do a lot of animated series and things like that. But if I have a rule, if a casting director approaches me about auditioning for a movie, I don't turn it down. Because my dad always said you have to walk through every door that opens and see what's there for you. And so I've ended up like every year I'll do like a movie or a couple of movies. So I'm still in that kind of world and very heavily involved in my voice acting. I did want to do a quick shout out to Atlanta Voiceover Studio. If anybody listening is interested in voice acting, they're an incredible resource nationwide. And their website is atlantavoiceoverstudio.com. And I teach for them as well as speaking.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. And a lot of people like want to know how to get into animation, video games and stuff. So they have great resources there that help you kind of tag along. So I wanted to plug that. But that trophy actually came from a voiceover campaign. So that's nice. I don't have an Emmy, but I'd like to win one. I'm going to win one before I die. I decided that's my, you have to, I read this thing from some actor that said you have to set like really big goals and set them big. And I never have. I've always, I don't know. I'm very humble but I actually decided, okay, I'm going to win an Emmy before I die. For something.
We get it.
One of the Marvel series or something. I'm going to start auditioning. Yeah, maybe win an Emmy. And when I do, we're all going to Joe Bob's Drive-In Theater.
It's like, you just won an Emmy. What do you do? I'm going to Joe Bob's Theater.
Yep, with Steven and Miss Boomstick.
Yeah,
that is where I'm going.
Come pick my ass up. We're going.
Yeah, absolutely. That's right. I'm going to fly you there.
All right.
Coach class only, though. And no hotel room. You have to get the hotel room yourself.
All right. Well, as long as
we use my Sky Miles to fly there.
All right, that'll work. So, also, Society, since it was such a crazy movie and everything, you remember any funny outtakes that happened or anything unusual?
No.
No, just well, wait, I talk about anything unusual.
The whole thing was funny. I mean, the whole thing was really fun and really funny. It really was. Probably the most awkward moment was in the shunting scene because again, like a lot of us really weren't sure what was happening.
Yeah.
And there was one scene, there was one close up of me that I think is still in the movie. It was like a full shot where I'm dripping in the Methicil in my freaking boxer shorts, and I gotta go, Judge Carter, like Judge Carter's emerging from the thing.
Yeah.
We must have done that. We must have done that take all day long because I didn't know what was going on. I couldn't quite figure it out. And Brian Yuzna really was at the helm of that film, and he would say, just be as excited as you can be that this is happening. And Judge Carter is like the king of your tribe. And I'm like, okay, man, whatever you say, Brian. Anyway, no. It was super fun. I mean, it was fun. Billy Warlock was fun to work with. I don't remember any specific like outtakes. I will say this because I do remember that from Pumpkinhead. But in Society, there wasn't a lot of laughing going on. We were very serious about what we were doing, which is kind of, I do remember one thing. I don't know if I could tell this story. All right, I'm going to tell it because I don't care. So Billy, I'm not a tall guy. And a lot of folks in movies are not tall guys. You're because small people kind of, the camera adds girth and dimension. And so actually you'll meet people in person who you like in movies and you're like, oh, you're so teeny. Why are you so teeny? It's because the camera adds dimension. Well, Billy Warlock is tiny. And maybe you know this, but he's really short. And I'm also not super tall. I'm about 5'6". But there's a scene where we are walking in the funeral home when his name's escaping me now. Oh my God. Oh, he's a friend of mine. Oh geez, I knew this was going to happen. This is a side effect of getting older. He dies. Our best friend, Billy's best friend dies, and we go to his funeral.
Oh,
okay, I'll think of it. Okay, because
I know who you're talking about, though. Yeah.
And Billy and I have to walk down the center aisle of the church to the casket. Billy walks down, and then I walk up behind him because Billy is noticing that on his friend's cheek there's this like weird bubble, like it doesn't look right, and he sticks his finger down and he pops the bubble, and then I walk up behind him like, hey, what's going on? What are you doing? What's your friend doing? And so when we did that scene, they actually basically put Billy on a walkway. Like they built a walkway for him that was about a half a foot off the ground, so that when I walked up to him, here's his head, right? And here's my head, right? So when you see that scene, he walks up and then I walk up and it looks like I'm like shorter than him because he's the lead in the movie. But actually, if we were standing together, it would have been like this. It's teeny. Talk about an Emmy winner. What a great actor. I do remember watching him do his scenes and thinking about the fact too that, you know, this was a very bizarre, weird, crazy movie that we were all in, and watching how seriously and how small he was in his scenes. And I couldn't even tell watching him what he was doing. And then I watched the film because I did watch the film. And I thought, he's so subtle. He's such a good actor. You know, so you learn from everybody that's on the set with you. The one thing about that movie that's strange is all the monsters, we all became really good friends. Like we hung out in LA for at least a good 2 or 3 years after that. We would go out to parties and things and hang out together. The extras, even like the non-speaking members of our crew, because if you look, there's like 5 of them, right? That are like the core kids.
Oh yeah.
Some of us had bigger roles and some of us were just kind of in the background looking really pretty. They had some pretty people in that movie.
Yeah.
They had some pretty, I wasn't one of them, but they had some really pretty people in the movie who just kind of were there to stand there and look really gorgeous and like, you know, be the ideal whatever at the time that was, because it's different now. But
right.
Yeah. But we all became really good friends, Michael and Scarlett, and we would hang out and go hang out in West Hollywood and hang out in the Valley. It was really fun. That was a really fun time of life. If you've noticed, I will talk forever, so you just got to pop.
No, it's fine. So, for Pino in Silent Night, Deadly Night 5 was very interesting. As that killer toy robot, you portrayed the mannerisms and walking like pretty much, I mean, dead on robot. What did you do to prepare for that?
That's a great question. I know you just watched that just recently, right?
Yes.
That's one of my favorites. When people ask me what my favorite movie was, honestly, that was my favorite. And I remember before the audition, I actually was at my best friend Heather's house in Mandeville Canyon in Los Angeles, and I took a broomstick and I shoved it up my blue, I guess, up the pant leg of my blue jeans. Okay. Come on, Miss Boomstick. I shoved it up the pant leg of my blue jeans and up through my belt loop and up through the back of my shirt. And that was kind of the basis for the physicality of that character. Because if you see in the end, when you actually all the clothes come off and you see that he is actually a giant Ken doll, like he can only articulate certain parts of his body. He can only move. And if you're going to sell that to the audience, at the end, you got to go, oh, okay, that's why he was kind of stiff and he kind of moved like this, like, right. And so I actually practiced with a broomstick. And then after I got the part, I practiced with a broomstick too. But the interesting thing about that movie is that was the first movie where I really wanted to play that character. I wanted to play another kind of non-human character, but I wanted to really understand the psychology of Pino. I know it's crazy because here's Mickey Rooney playing Geppetto and I'm playing Pinocchio, and you're like, ha, 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 it's Pinocchio and he kills kids. Yeah. But again, I served that work. I took it very seriously.
Yeah.
And when people ask me about that movie, and that movie's really survived. I get a lot of mail about that movie, about that performance specifically, strangely enough. And when people ask me about that movie, I always describe it as, okay, I play the robot puppet boy who hates real children, so he kills them at Christmas time with their own toys. But I came up with that. I mean, that is what he is.
Mm-hmm.
But I actually got into the psychology of him. That was the first film where I ever had a journal, and I actually journaled in character. I would sit there between takes and I would write what I was thinking and feeling and how I hated all these, what children had. And I just wanted to be loved. And I came from this point of view of innocence. And if you watch the movie, you'll see he's very innocent.
Yeah,
he's very sweet.
And it probably didn't help that, like Mickey Rooney, he was drunk and always telling him, "I wish I had a real son," or "I wish stuff like that. And that probably didn't help his thinking process either.
Well, that's right. And I responded to that too in the journal. So I really went method on that one. Mm-hmm. I went total method actor, and I completely got into it because I felt like I just relished it. I loved it. I loved every minute of it. Mickey was great to work with. Here's a screen legend who's done 177 movies by the time he does Silent Night 5. He's working a week on the film and getting $50,000. And he's only there for like 3 or 4 days. He doesn't learn any of his lines. He has a photographic memory.
Oh, wow.
And he doesn't even want to see the scene. He stays in his trailer in his RV, and we actually went into his RV to watch his appearance on Letterman that had happened like the night before, and he and his managers were critiquing it. He invited me into the trailer. He's like, "What do you think of this kid?" Judy Garland, Judy Garland, Judy Garland. All he talked about was Judy Garland. But he never learned his lines. He would say, "Give me the sides." The sides are the little piece of paper that you get for the scene you're about to shoot. He'd say, "Give me the sides," right before I saw him do this. He got it. He looked at the scene and he puts it down and nailed it. Because he had a photographic memory, and he believed that to get a real, true, and authentic performance, it had to be spontaneous. It could not be planned. I'm very different. I as an actor, I think through what I'm doing, and I plan things very specifically. But even then, you have to let it go, and you have to let whatever's happening in that moment happen. And I was always amazed by that. Now, if I had a photographic memory, I might do that. And remember, he has a photographic memory for all you actors out there. If you don't have a photographic memory, that's not you.
No.
You're not. I mean, But it was interesting because he nailed the scene, and it was very spontaneous, and it was very in the moment. And he's done 177 movies from the time he was a little kid up until we were not nearly the last thing he did. But no, he didn't die till just a few years ago. But what a sweet man, and what an amazing experience to just be able to work with him and to say,
"Yeah, I worked."
Yeah. Right. How was it doing the little fight scene with him?
So much fun. So much fun. In fact, so in that scene, we run down into the basement.
Mm-hmm.
We're fighting. We run down to the basement. I think he hits me over the head, or I hit him with a bottle or something, or hit with a bottle of his whiskey or something.
Yeah.
But the basement in that scene was actually at stage level on the ground floor of the sound studio. And they built a catwalk for us to wait in, a catwalk that had a stairway that went down to ground level. So we're not actually in a house going into the basement. We are up on this catwalk on the sound stage, elevated above the floor. And we on action, we throw open the door and run down the stairs into the basement, which is actually the ground floor level. So this catwalk was very rigged. It was not like super well built. And we had to be very careful up there because it would like sway. And at one point, we did that a million times. It was so much fun. And between takes, Mickey would say, he'd go, "Hey, watch this." And he'd start tap dancing. And do for tea, me for you. And as he's tap dancing, the catwalk starts swaying like this, back and forth, back and forth. And of course, the producers had like $1 million worth of insurance on him because he's Mickey Rooney.
Right.
So the first assistant director would run up to the catwalk and he'd go, "Stop, guys, Mr. Rooney, could you just stop, please? Just stop." It was so funny. And he did it on purpose, We had a lot of fun that day. That's a really good memory that I still remember very, very clearly because
I can imagine. I would probably, if my memory probably was, mine's not that great, but I could see having that like burnt if you have some sort of experience like that.
Some things don't go away, Miss Boomstick.
Right.
You'll be happy to know when you get to my age, there are some things that don't go away. You're far, far, far from my age, but that's
I'm
something
already having issues.
Here's some memory issues.
Yeah.
I lightly joke about that. My mother-in-law has dementia, and we kept her here for a couple of years. So if anybody is struggling with that out there, I'm so sorry. I understand what you're going through. I would just say, just know that you're not alone. I have to say that. I had to learn a lot about dementia and Alzheimer's when we had my mother-in-law living here in this room, actually. And she's alive still, and she's fine. She's in kind of the later phases, but it's no laughing matter. Yeah. But sometimes you got to laugh to get through it. And you'll be surprised if anybody out there is suffering with that or has a loved one suffering with that. You're absolutely not alone. So many people go through that and suffer with it. So here's to Alzheimer's. Okay. You're never having me back. And I don't blame you.
Oh, you're welcome back. My great grandma had, I think it was like the first forms of that, but it's like she couldn't remember like any of the great grandkids like names. It was like, she had people thinking I was pregnant when I wasn't, because she was going around saying it was me, but it was actually one of my cousins.
Oh my God.
She had like everybody thinking that. I'm like, no, it was for my son. But yeah.
Connie's pregnant. Grandma, who's Connie? You're Connie, damn it.
Yeah. Everybody like, with somebody else is like, if she would say, she'd always usually call me either Shelly or Stacy as my cousins, and so one of the two got pregnant. I don't remember which one at the time, and so she was going around everybody telling it was me. I'm like, no, Grandma.
Yeah. Well, see, my grandmother had it too, but at the time they didn't really. There wasn't. Now I am older than you, but at the time there wasn't a diagnosis for Alzheimer's, and what they used to call it was hardening of the arteries. That was what they called it back in the 60s and 70s. Like it was, her arteries are hardening, and my grandma suffered from it too. And I see Doomsday Crick just weighed in that he or she or they, I'm sorry, I don't know gender, has worked with Alzheimer's. My grandmother had a horrible disease. Absolutely, it is. But you come to terms and you work with the good moments. Every day is a moment, and we still experience that with my mother-in-law. The merciful thing, if there is anything merciful about the disease, is she doesn't know she has it. She lives literally in the moment, every moment. And so what we focus on is creating really beautiful, memorable moments in that moment, whether she'll remember it or not, and just experiences for her that in that moment give her joy.
Right.
And that's Doomsday's Crypt, what we sort of learned to focus on through a lot of counseling and a lot of help from medical professionals. We sort of learned that that's what life becomes. And in a way, isn't that life for all of us? And we all have something going on. Anyway, sorry, I didn't mean to take us down that. There are fun days for sure, Doomsday Crypt says. Yeah, there are. Yeah. My mother-in-law used to think everything she saw on TV was real. That's when it first started. And we were watching a black and white like crime caper with Peter Sellers, where there was a big cop chase at the end, like black and white. So it's like the 40s. And I remember when the movie was over, I'm like, okay, Martha, you ready? You ready for lunch? And she goes, we got to get out of here. I'm like, what? She goes, we got to get out of here, like right now. I'm like, what are you talking about? She goes, they're coming. They know what we did. I'm like, okay, God. Okay, we're going to be okay. So, yeah, you have to laugh about it.
Almost like War of the Worlds. It's really happening.
It's really happening. Yeah. And I know those of you going through it, it's not funny. Wow, we took a turn.
It happens. That's what I told you.
Great. I love it. Yeah. We're talking real. So, right?
It's life, and even out of the bad, got to have fun with it also.
That's right, baby. That's right.
One last, it doesn't deal with Alzheimer's, but my uncle, he's blind, and he had to re-get his Florida ID. And when he goes in there, he's like, so with this, I can drive at night, right?
That's my kind of uncle.
Yeah,
that's hilarious.
I had to take some medicine a couple years ago, and it kind of messed with, I have a little bit of paranoia and stuff, and
paranormal kind of paranoia.
I almost said
paranormal paranoia. Starring Miss Boomstick.
It's super amped, like my anxiety and my paranoia, to the point that I literally thought there was people outside the house in the backyard that was going to break in. And I was like freaking out about it, thinking there was people out there. And I was like, okay, one, I'm not taking this medicine no more. I can't deal with this. It's sad enough that I have it, like, I wouldn't even say normal levels, but I hate to call it that, but like my normal levels, I guess. It's like, it's bad enough I freak about this stuff the way I do. I don't need this like amp to 100.
Yeah.
no, we're not doing that no more.
Well, at least you know yourself.
Right.
I can't wait till we can have some pizza, you and me. I want to talk with you. I want to pick your brain. I saw you. Steven invited me to watch, like pop in and watch some different things, and I saw you, and I fell in love with you right away. So,
Thank you.
You too, Steven. I'm in love with you too. I'm in love with everyone.
Oh, thank you so much.
I love all of you guys so much.
I love you all.
And scene. Thank you.
And here's your Emmy. Let's go.
Thank you. I won my Emmy finally.
You won your Emmy on the House of Horrors podcast.
Yay! I'm excited. Speaking of House of Horrors podcast, so you're in Tampa, right?
No, I'm in Tallahassee.
You're in Tallahassee. That's right. We talked about that because I have an aunt and uncle that live in Tallahassee. Yeah, and I've never been to their house. I've actually never been to Tallahassee. I got to get down there and see you guys down there.
Yeah, come on down. There's a really good pizza place. And now I can't think of the name, of course, but they got huge slices of pizza, like as big as your head. Like they're like small size.
I have a pretty big head, Steven.
So yeah, don't we all? But no, literally, like a small pizza is like a large Pizza Hut box. Like their large is like
yummy.
Hard to fit in the car. I mean, they got like huge slices of pizza, and their buffalo wing pizza is the best buffalo wing pizza.
That sounds so good.
So,
we had to do this at dinner time, didn't we? That sounds so good. But if you are in Florida, I gotta give a quick shout out. I know you have some more questions, but I gotta give a quick shout out to Mike and Reed from the Creature Workshop. You guys listening, the Creature Workshop, it's thecreatureworkshop.com. They come to a lot of the shows, and they're a pop-up costume shop. And they gave me, at Tampa Bay Screams,
they gave
me this awesome Pumpkinhead mask.
The mask I was hoping you were selling.
And I know, and I'm gonna go as Pumpkinhead for Halloween now, for real. I've still got my Bunt costume in the attic, and I always threaten to like put it back on with a wig and like go as Bunt Wallace and see like if anybody recognizes Bunt Wallace from Pumpkinhead.
Do a merge. Wear like the clothes of Bunt, but the Pumpkinhead.
Oh, that's what I'll do. That's what I'll do. I have the overalls and I have the shirt, and
and then throw on a milkshake for society.
and I'll carry a milkshake, McDonald's chocolate milkshake. Like, who am I? Guess who I am under this mask. You must know me. But Mike and Reed gave me that, and they're with the creatureworkshop.com. They also, I've talked about Peter from Silver Screen Appearances. He manages my appearances, but they're also helping to coordinate a brand new show, a brand new convention, you guys. It's going to be at the Space Coast Convention Center in January of 2022, the 22nd and 23rd, and it's called Horrorville. It's a brand new show.
Oh, nice.
And I'm really excited about it. The website is horrorvillecon.com, where you can go and you can see the lineup, and they're adding more and more people every day. That's my next big show in Florida. So I hope, Steven, that you'll come down. I don't know how far the Space Coast is from you, but it's Florida. Come on.
I'll have to look it up, but I'm sure it's within driving distance for sure.
Miss Boomstick, I'd love it if you could come too. It would be so great.
I wish it could, but it's so hard.
That's a long way.
Far, so I don't know if I can.
Yeah, that's a long way.
I have been to Florida since I was 14. That was many years ago.
Florida's great, man. Well, right now, wear a mask.
Well, yeah.
Right.
Let's not talk about that, but yeah. I have a mask you can wear right here. Wear this mask. That's a fabulous mask.
What was it? Someone went in with they were saying no entrance without a mask, so he put on a Michael Myers mask.
That's great. Well, that's a mask.
I've seen people wearing plague ones too. Well, I haven't I've seen pictures. I haven't physically.
Plague mask. Jesus, oh Lord. My Lord and Savior. Well, the thing about the cons, I know a lot of the cons are struggling because people are trying to figure out, should I go, should I not? And it's a tough decision for a lot of people, but especially the cons where you wear costumes, you can put a filter mask in your mask, and why would you not? I mean, I would think that wouldn't be a big deal. And for the people going, wear a mask inside if that's what, I just hate to see the cons suffering from it, but I get it. And we have a show tonight. My niece is playing a rock and roll show down here in Midtown Atlanta. And we're going, but we are being very careful because we're going to be in a small room. Masks are required, but everybody has to really be very careful out there. It's not, we don't want to shut the whole shebang down again, but we have to be careful so that you're safe. And everybody kind of knows where that is, and protecting other people too. Just be kind, like common sense, it's not that big a deal. But Horrorville at the Space Coast Convention Center in Cocoa Beach. Cocoa Beach. So I'm really excited about that. Horrorvillecon.com. Oh, and then just today, I just want one more real quick. Can I do one more plug? Just today, I got asked to do a show here in the Atlanta area. So if you're listening and you live in the metro Atlanta area, I'm going to be at MonsterRamaCon.
Oh,
MonsterRamaCon.
Bring your Necronomicon.
It's like Necronomicon, the Necronomicon, but it's MonsterRamaCon, and that is going to be, that website is monsterramacon.com. It's called Monsterrama, but it's the Monsterrama convention, and that is October 8th, 9th, and 10th of this year here in the metro Atlanta area. So if you're in this area, come and see me, and thanks to Anthony Taylor for having me out to that. So I wanted to plug this because I've just started doing them, and they're so much fun. And
once you do one, you can't stop. It's in your blood. After the first convention, you're like,
it really is. And I always wonder what it would be like to do it. And it's an amazing thing. I mean, when those guys gave me that mask, I was nearly in tears because I work. I am what you would call a working actor. You would barely notice me and stuff. I work and I hustle and I get gigs, lots of voiceover gigs, the occasional on camera, and I produce television too. So I work. And I teach at university, so I do everything. I do a lot of things in the entertainment industry. But you're kind of always operating in a vacuum, even when you're on a film set. And to actually get out and meet people who know the work and actually like the work and have stories that they tell you about, oh, we used to get stoned and watch that movie all the time. Oh, my God. And when I was in high school, we'd smoke and watch Pumpkinhead all night long. And I'm like, that's awesome. I mean, I never would have thought as an actor that I could have I could have that place at the table in people's lives. And that's what I realized at Tampa Bay is like, no, there are people that love these movies and that want to talk about them. And I've always loved them. I still love them. And people say, oh, that's way in your past. Well, yeah, but it's a part of what makes me who I am. And for people who are just seeing those movies, they're not in the past. That's the thing about film. It's like, it's a very immediate experience. So
always new fan exposure.
Yeah. So I loved it. And I wasn't sure because that was my first show. And I was like, nah. I told my partner, I'm like, we'll see, see, I want to know. But I did. I kind of got hooked on it. Just talking to people. And it was really fun. It wasn't even like an ego thing. It was just like, oh my God, that scene. Yeah. Oh, you saw The Wire in that scene? Nobody sees that. Like nobody's ever said that, right? You know what I mean? So it was a lot of fun. So yeah, I'm looking forward to it. Yeah. So I'll let you know, Stephen, when I'm doing more. But right now, there's going to be I can't do a lot between now and the end of the year because of gigs and my schedule. And I'm teaching at Oglethorpe University in film and media studies right now. So my time is limited this semester. But next year, we've got several that we're lining up. The first one being the January 22nd on the Space Coast. So, but I am going to fit that one here October 8th, 9th, and 10th because that's very close to home. And I can go up there for the weekend. And it doesn't take me out very far. So, yeah. That's my plugs.
Plugs.
These also are my plugs. I don't know if you can see them very clearly on the camera. But they did not come across on film at all. So,
Yeah, I don't think I've ever noticed the wire line that you're talking about. But I know in the second Pumpkinhead, you catch him wearing tennis shoes.
Oh, you do?
Yeah.
I have a picture. I have a lot of great pictures. And I think the next show I do, I'm going to bring my photo album down. But I have one of Tom Woodruff in the suit on the big riser that he walked on. Basically, his feet cut off at the knees of the costume. And he's wearing tennis shoes. Walking on the thing. That's funny. I haven't seen 2.
I'm pretty sure it's 2. It's like when he's like going through a door or something. It's been a while since I've seen it, but he's like in some sort of scene. If you have like an older copy of like the DVD too, you can kind of see it in the picture on the back.
That's funny. Oh, that's bad. I auditioned for Pumpkinhead too, Blood Wings. And I remember going in and like I got called in just off my headshot, and I got in. The casting director had no idea who I was. He had not seen the first movie. It had nothing to do with the first movie. No, he hadn't.
Yeah.
And I went in going, "Hey man, I'm Bunt from the first movie." He's like, I'm like, okay, whatever. And I was auditioning for some completely different character. And I even said at the time, not to him, but to my agent, I'm like, if there's a Pumpkinhead 2, I should be playing the same guy.
Right.
You should, yeah.
Right. And I did. Many years later, I got asked to reprise the role of Bunt as a grown-up guy in the sci-fi movie ones that they did. They shot all in like Hungary or something. Lance is in it. He's in it for like 2 seconds as a ghost. He like appears as a ghost. It's so funny because he's in California. It's just like a digital Lance. Anyway. But at the time, I had just started my voice acting career, and I was the national voice for Time Warner Cable, which is now Spectrum Mobile or Spectrum Communications. And that was a huge gig, and I was making big bucks, and it was going to take me away for about 6 weeks to Hungary. And they weren't going to pay anything. They were going to pay less than scale. So to give you an idea, I think they were offering me $500 a week, and I was making like $12,000 an hour. For real. No, that's not every voiceover gig. If you guys are interested in voiceover, just understand that is not every voiceover gig at all. But that's the national campaigns. So I couldn't do it really. And then also I read the script, and y'all, they turned Bunt into this big doofus, kind of slow character. Well, and that wasn't Bunt. I always thought that Bunt would grow up and be an attorney in New York. Like he would grow up and he would leave Appalachia. He would be the kid that actually left that because he was smart,
right,
crafty, and he was deliberate and very intentional and very intelligent about, he wants to find out if that thing's real or just a story. Like he wants to know,
right,
facts, right. So I always felt like if the best sequel would be, New York City. 20 years later, and Bunt has left Appalachia. He's
Pumpkinhead takes Manhattan.
You know what I mean?
But this time he'll be in Manhattan, not on the boat.
Pumpkinhead takes Manhattan. Exactly. And then we do Pumpkinhead in space. Pumpkinhead X.
Yes.
Pumpkinhead in space. It's what you wanted, Ed Harley. You wanted. Warp speed now, Ed Harley. Warp speed now. God damn you. God damn you. He already has, son. Boom. He already has. I love Frances. She was the witch. The witch is my favorite. Haggis is my favorite character in the whole movie. And I love her performance. And she was a beautiful lady. And that whole scene in her cabin was like, wow, so atmospheric and so spooky.
Yes.
Yeah.
And this is Stan Winston and Boyan Bazzelli, the director of photography, the production design, everybody just came together and made a beautiful movie. But yeah, we got to do Pumpkinhead X. Maybe we'll do it.
Yeah.
Engage warp drive, Ed Hart. Engage warp drive.
That'd be like a what they called I want to say spinoff, but that's not the word I'm looking for. Spoof. Be like a spoof.
Oh, a Pumpkinhead spoof would be so fun. Now that's what I should do. I had a sketch comedy theater here in town for a long time, and it was the first original scripted sketch comedy theater, like Saturday Night Live. We taught people how to write comedy. So I mean, that really is that's my love. In fact, the last feature film I did, it's not a genre film, but if you guys want to check it out, it's called Permanent. It's a Magnolia picture. I think you can find it on Amazon and other places. And it's about this little girl who the day before she goes to high school, she gets the worst haircut of her life, like the worst perm. It's hideous, horrible. And I actually got to play the hairdresser who gives her the bad perm. It's me, Patricia Arquette, Rainn Wilson. It's a sweet, sweet film. It's a family film, but I got to really have fun with my comedic chops in that one because it's a total character. It's not like me. And they just let me improvise and go. So yeah, a Pumpkinhead spoof, that's a really good idea.
You can serve him some pumpkin pie.
Yeah.
Have
some pie, Ed Harley. Have some pie.
My mom was a hairdresser, so I grew up in like the hairdresser realm. It's like she went to the beauty college when I was like super little, and then I got to be the experimental doll. I think that's why I keep my hair now.
That's hilarious.
And then so I like grew up in that, so I would have to see how you take on.
How old's your kid?
He's 16.
16. He's probably a little too old for it. It's kind of it's a young girl film. But like if you have a daughter, although my nephew watched it, my little nephew Milo, and he really liked it, but he's like 6 or 7. It's a family movie. It's not a genre movie. It's definitely like a family movie. But you guys check it out. It's a cool little film. It's actually a really sweet little film. So
I'll have to look it up there. So.
Yeah.
I'll definitely look that up, especially with you playing a hairdresser.
And it's like the first 10-15 minutes or something, but you'll see. It's kind of starts the movie off, so it's really fun. But I love the idea of a Pumpkinhead parody. That would
be funny
because they're remaking Pumpkinhead now.
I heard
the guy who produced Saw has been talking about it, And I am reaching out, and my reps are reaching out to see like if I could do like an Easter egg or just like I'll be the guy behind the counter in the shop because that movie means so much to me. But I'm sure Lance will be in it in some way. I would like to be.
Or they put you as the father in it.
Yeah. Well, what I would, the guy I want to play is this guy.
Yeah.
I can't help you. You folks is marked. Marked? What do you mean marked? You oh. That guy, you know? That's the guy I want to play. Or my grandfather, Buck Wallace. But you get to bed like I told you. Grandpa, is that thing going to hurt our animals? You get to bed. You get to bed now. Can you tell I've seen this movie a lot?
Yeah.
But
not like you were in it or anything.
Yeah, no. But then I was thinking today, I was like, you know, if it's meant to be. Like I have this very, very specific philosophy about life that's developed over many, many years, that the things that are meant for you come to you. A casting director actually told me that once. But I think in life in general, the things that are meant to you to be yours are yours, and they come to you, and you don't have to push. You can be assertive, you can be aggressive, like you can go after the things that you want. But at the end of the day, you kind of delivered the things that are meant for you. Like your life is your life, and these experiences that are supposed to happen to you happen, and you have to walk through them, learn what you learn. And so I was thinking today, like maybe it wouldn't be so great to be a part of a Pumpkinhead remake. Like it's probably going to be very different, completely reimagined. There might not be a place for me, or it might not. It's never going to be the experience that filming that first one was. Right. I mean, it might be fun to go for a day and like, yeah, I'm in the original, you know, and it would be flattering if that filmmaker felt like, okay, this would be a good Easter egg. Because a lot of fans are talking about it like, oh, they better not do that. They better not mess with it. But they're going to. That's what Hollywood does. They remake everything.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah, no, I usually follow the news, and I haven't even seen any peep about that yet.
That's interesting you say, because right before the pandemic is when there was a lot of press about it, and then everything stopped for the pandemic. So I think it stopped, but I think he's piquing his interest again, because if I read something in Variety about it and some of the Hollywood trades about it, so I have his email.
I'll have to keep an eye out for that, because I usually follow like Bloody Disgusting and and stuff like that.
You haven't seen it in those rags yet. You haven't seen it there or in Fangoria or anything like that. Yeah, not yet.
Yeah, not yet.
I don't.
It's not since I've been covering the news, because I for a while there I was like every week I do kind of like what commentary channels on YouTube do. They'll like go over different news of the thing, and I did get to do it this week. Hopefully Tuesday I'll do it.
Cool.
I was too rushed to get out here to my parents' house. I didn't get to do it this week, but yeah, just basically I show the articles, just kind of go over each week of what's going on in like the horror world.
Yeah. That's cool. Be sure you let me know what you're doing and where I can find it too, and I'll subscribe to whatever you're doing, Miss Boomstick.
Yeah, my channel is just called Miss Boomstick, just like what my name is.
Perfect. Because I am a big fan of you guys.
Appreciate it. Likewise. It's appreciation. Oh, go ahead. You get your question there. You look like you were reading something.
I got my notes.
No, boom, not you. You're just like,
I got my notes like right next to me here, so I'm like going over, make sure where I'm at in my notes.
That's a good thing. Notes are a good thing. I took notes too, because I had to shout out to some people tonight. I promised them that I would, and I think I have shouted out to everybody. Except you guys. I want to thank you guys so much for having me. This is so much fun. Let's do this again for sure.
Definitely.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah,
definitely.
I'd love to.
Yeah, it's already been 57 minutes. Doesn't even seem like it's been that long.
No, it doesn't at all. It went too fast. Well, but I don't have to go yet, though. Quite yet. Do you have any more questions, or
for the video game fans, as your role as Nick there, when you got in, did rewind? I can't talk now.
I can't help you. You folks is marked.
Yep, you can.
Marked? What do you mean marked?
Oh, marked.
Cynthia Bain.
So, did you
what
do
you wanted, Steven?
That's what I want is to know. Did you just do the recordings, or did you actually get to see any of the gameplay?
Didn't see any of it. Yep, did not see any of it. They hadn't even created the concept art for Nick when I did the role. I auditioned through my agent, actually my Southeast agent, to get that role. My Los Angeles agent and my San Francisco agent do most of the video games, but I got this one through my Southeastern rep. and I auditioned and got it. And then they flew me to San Francisco to actually do the recordings, which was super fun. I felt like such a rock star. I flew in, they threw me in a car, drove me up to San Marin. We recorded. They threw me back in the car at 2:00 in the afternoon and sent me right back to the airport. I'm like, what just happened? For the first episode. And I think the director just wanted to know that he could work with me, because from there on, the rest of the episodes I filmed from my studio. I recorded from my studio here. But at the time, there wasn't any artwork. They had some concepts rendered at Telltale when I went and recorded there, but none of the gameplay that I saw. At least they didn't show it to me. They were really more concerned about the performances. And that was, in the voiceover world, when you do like a commercial and you're talking about Coca-Cola or Tide Pods with bleach, it's usually a very like light, positive, happy thing. You're not usually crying, right? Video games are very different, especially a game like The Walking Dead. It's consequential. Clementine opens a door and hears a conversation between Nick and Uncle Pete, and that influences what the player might or might not do. They can make choices that literally change the game, right? Like, you could have killed me 3 times in that game, or you could have let me live. And if you let me live, then you see what happens at the end of that season. But I had a scene in that first episode where I had to cry because Nick is confessing, I think it was to Uncle Pete, that he feels responsible for the death of his mother because he left the kitchen door open and a zombie came in and ate her. Well, that's what it was. And I didn't get the script until I got to they did keep me one night. I got to the hotel that night just in time to get a spaghetti dinner before all the restaurants in Marin County closed. And in the hotel, I was reading through the script and I saw the scene, and this is what we saw. It was a script, Stephen, to answer your point. It was a script, just like a film script. It's laid out technically in different ways because you have long pages where you're literally just going, ugh, ah, oh man, ah, and that's it, right? For pages and pages, and then you have the dialogue scenes too, and it's very technical because it's laid out for the animators and everything's to time. But I was reading through the script, and because I just got it the night before we recorded episode 1, and I came across a scene where I'm talking about my mom dying, and I went, oh nope, and I put it down, and I kind of pulled a Mickey Rooney. Because in voiceover, you don't learn your lines. You can't. You're always working with a script because they have to change it. It's written for time, commercial and in animation and voiceover too, in video games too. But I saw the scene and I saw the first couple of lines of what I was saying, and I went, I'm putting that down. I know where this lives. I know where this lives. I know how I would feel if my mother died. That's just all I need to know. And it was a really important scene. It was going to be my first scene with the director, and sure enough, the next day it was the very first scene that we did. And he was nervous. He was like, okay, we're going to do this scene, and, we're going to do it as many times as you need. So don't worry. We can do it again and again and again. So just take your time and get where you need to be. I'm like, okay, man, I'm cool. And they roll tape. We're recording, and the tears just start coming. And the scene happens, and I'm confessing. And we finish the very first take, and he goes, well, okay. We're done. I guess that's great. That's a wrap. I'm like, okay, cool. So that is funny, Miss Boomstick. I like how Mickey Rooney says it needs to be fresh and needs to be spontaneous. Like, that was a moment only because I don't have to learn lines in voiceover where I could kind of just let that happen. And I actually did not want to rehearse that at all because I knew I had that in my emotional body, and I just let it happen. So but I think that's why, Stephen, they flew me to San Francisco. Like, he wanted to be sure that I could do what he was asking me to do.
Right.
And from that point on, we recorded the rest of the episodes from my studio here in Atlanta, but no artwork at all. In fact, this is interesting and I teach my animation students this too. When you get an animation audition, sometimes you get the artwork and you see what the character looks like, and you got to embody that physicality because the voice follows what the body does. So you've got to figure out what's the physicality of that character, whether it's a little pixie in a kid's cartoon or if it's a video game character that actually is. And Nick is like tall and thin and has dark hair, wears a baseball cap, like nothing like me. Really chiseled, like dark features. Well, in the audition, I didn't get any artwork at all, but I actually drew a doodle of what I thought Nick would look like. And I've got it somewhere one of these days. I got to find it and pull it out. I've never thrown it away. But surprisingly, it's very, very what the character ended up looking like. I put a baseball cap on him. He's tall and thin with long black hair. I think Nick had like shoulder length kind of black hair. But it's so important in animation that you visualize what you're voicing.
Right.
And so I did, because there wasn't any artwork. To your point, there was no artwork, there was no gameplay, and I didn't play video games at the time. I still don't really play video games. I did when I was a kid, but that was like Frogger and
Right.
Donkey Kong, like nothing like the games today. My little brother, on the other hand, Joey, he's like big into the gaming thing. So yeah, it was all just from the script, from bringing reality and truth to the script, and honoring the character, and doing a sketch of what I thought he would look like. It's what you wanted, Ed Harley. That was fun. That's the only, that and Mr. Peanut, because voiceover is not a high profile acting job. Voiceover artists don't get famous. You never know. You probably have heard me 100 times over the last few years on the radio. You would never know it's me. People sound different when they're being recorded than they do when you're just talking to them. But that role in the Walking Dead video game was so fun because it got attention. I got a lot of 13-year-old fans on Twitter all of a sudden, and a lot of fans on Twitter. And it really, like I had a guy today who followed me on Twitter, and his comment was, "Nick is my favorite character in The Walking Dead." So that was that's very fulfilling and gratifying. And people always ask me to do the voice. I'm like, oh, I can't do that.
I know. I asked my son when I was filling out my notes if I was like, because he plays games, and I asked him if he ever played the Walking Dead games, and he's like, "No, why?" And I told him that we'd be talking to you, and he's like, "Well, I know the character, but I've never played it." And I was like, "Okay." So I was gonna see if he would have questions, but he's not really into the horror game genre, so he didn't ever played it. But yeah, I tried to pick his brain for it.
He doesn't know what he's missing.
Yeah, I know. I've tried to play some. I'm like in the Atari generation too. So
right.
I have, had that, and then I didn't play for years. And then this last couple of years, I've started playing some PlayStation games. But
cool. Steven, do you play video games?
Oh, it's been a while, but I have a Switch, Nintendo Switch, and
yeah.
So every now and then, I'm more of a movie person than gamer. But
sure. Yeah, me too.
But,
I mean, my favorite movie genres are science fiction. I love horror. I'm a big fan of the Conjuring series right now, and I know a lot of people are kind of lukewarm, or they really, really love it. But Steve Coulter plays Father. I almost said Father Downey. Father Gordon. Steve Coulter plays Father Gordon. He's played Father Gordon, and he's a really good friend of mine. He was my first acting teacher in Atlanta, and we just are really, really, really close. And there's a great example of a guy who has had an amazing career, and then all of a sudden in his 60s, everything blew up. He got a series regular on The Walking Dead, and he's Father Gordon in the Conjuring series, and he's also in the Insidious series too. James Wan loves him. Why did I bring him up? Oh yeah, so I'm a geek boy when it comes to these. I can't wait for the next Conjuring movie. Yeah. I love Vera Farmiga, first of all.
Yeah,
she's amazing, and Patrick Wilson. Let me get the name. Oh god.
Yeah.
Oh, I love him, and then of course Steve. So I always watch him for Steve, but I'm so hooked. And this last one that came out, I couldn't wait to stream it. I think it was HBO Max streamed it, and I streamed it.
Yeah,
I'm just like, whoa. And then I went to my dad's house, and my dad has like a TV that is the size of a wall. And I watched it again, and I'm texting Steve at the same time going, "This is great." I love those stories.
Yeah, I'm a fan of that series as well. I love what James Wan has brought to those stories.
I think the Crooked Man's the next one, right? Isn't it the Crooked Man they're doing next?
I think so, yeah. Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, I
loved it. I love the last one too. And people are like, it's this, it's that, it's whatever. I'm sorry.
People are going to complain no matter what. But the only one I didn't really like was La Llorona. That's the only one I really didn't like. But I don't think James Wan really had that much into that one. I think somebody else did that one, if I remember correctly.
Not a lot of people saw that one too. That's interesting. So I wonder what was going on with that one that it didn't quite bite.
I don't know. But yeah, that one, there's a Spanish version. It was on Shudder. I'm not sure if it still is. Yeah. But I think it's a little bit more lower budget. But that one's like a lot better than the other one. But yeah, I don't think they really captivated that one. But all the other ones, I love the Annabelle. I love Conjuring.
Yeah.
I love all of those.
Yeah.
I do too. I'm glad you do.
I think the day that it got released, I think the next day after it got released on HBO Max, the new one, I ended up watching it.
Yeah, me too.
But yeah, we got a big projector that we project under the wall.
Oh, that's too much fun. I got to come to your house so we can watch Pumpkinhead. That would be a lot of fun.
That's how I watched it. I sat in my chair with it projecting onto the wall.
That's great. That's really great fun. That's great fun. But I love science fiction. I love really good science fiction. And I've seen some, there's so much content out there right now. Because all the streaming channels are just ordering content. So it's really hit or miss. And you got to really weed through a lot of stuff to find the really good stuff. I haven't seen a really great science fiction movie lately.
Have you seen the new show Surreal State, where they work in real estate, but they sell the houses where there's ghosts and spirits, and each of them.
I had that idea years ago. Are you kidding me? I had that idea years ago. That's what I'm telling you. Every idea is getting made if you can get it made. Surreal Estate, it's called?
Surreal Estate, yeah.
That was my idea years ago. I probably pitched that as a producer and somebody stole it.
They stole your pitch.
That's okay, because I'm psychic and I talk to dead people and I'm going to stick some ghosts on them.
There's the guy years ago of having a restaurant but have it horror themed, and I just seen one got open in Ohio not too long ago. I was like, man, if I would have had money, I could have been doing that.
I know, honey. Exactly. It's all about it.
I hate that when you have an idea and then you see it happen somewhere else. It's like, what the hell? No.
Yeah.
Well, does anybody watching at home have any questions? I'm gonna have to get off of here real soon and go see my niece in the COVID room. I mean, I'm sorry, in the reptile room.
What room?
So I guess we ought to wrap it up, Steven. I hate to. This is so much fun. I'd like to stay out here all night long.
So, yeah, that's what I'm saying. People like to stay on the full time or come back or whatever. I mean, you're always welcome back. It's fun.
Thank you. Yeah, I'll come back for sure. Anytime. You just let me know. Whenever you have a hole in your schedule, I'll come back and we can chat some more.
Most definitely. Yeah, it doesn't even seem like it's been an hour.
It's been an hour and 10 minutes. It doesn't even feel like that long.
Yeah, that was really, really super, super, super fun, you guys. Thank you so much for having me and let me plug my stuff that's coming up. And
definitely.
Yeah, I hope I get to meet you really soon in person, Miss Boomstick. And I hope I get to see you again soon, Steven.
I'll probably be coming down next year, or January or whatever. So
great, excellent. Stay in touch, and I'll be sure that it's a brand new show, so that's kind of exciting. It's
first one.
New con, and I'm going to be one of the first guests at the con, so that's going to be fun. Nice. Yeah, we'll have a good time.
All right, well, we'll see you soon then.
We'll see you soon.
Okay. John just said great interview. All right.
Oh, who said that?
He said great interview. So.
Thank you, Doomsday Crypt. I appreciate you hanging with us. And thanks, everybody, for being here. And come see me at a show.
Definitely. If you're going to Wisconsin, I'll have to keep an eye out for you.
Yeah, for sure.
Southern end, because I'm in the southern end.
Okay. Hey, and listen, anybody that's doing shows out there, let them know that I'm doing shows, and you put them in touch with me, and I'll refer them over to Peter to get us booked.
Yeah, I haven't seen any. I sent an email because Joe Bob had sent some out, looking for places to have, because he does that Redneck State Hollywood show.
Right.
And he did one in Milwaukee that I went to, because that's an hour and a half away from me. So I went there, and then he was telling people, if you know places, different convention centers. Well, I have a convention center in my town, but I never see anybody use it for anything. I never see what's used for. So I was like, I sent him the information. I was like, have a convention here. It's
right down the street, 5-minute drive. There you go.
Well, I hope he does.
Right. Yeah.
If not, when I win my Emmy, we're gonna go. I'm gonna fly you. I'm gonna fly you coach class.
Coach class, no hotel.
Coach class. Once I win my Emmy.
In the plane, so I don't care what class it is.
That's right. All right, guys. Well, love to you both.
Fun.
I hope to see you again real soon. Steven, I'll see you soon. Miss Boomstick, I hope to see you soon.
Nice.
And, all right. Have fun. Good night, everybody. Thanks for being here, everybody.
Bye.
Bye.
Oh boy. Good times.
He was great.
So
yeah, hopefully he comes back. He was fun.
I'm sure he will. Yeah, tonight just flew by quick.
It did.
I think tonight's probably one of the quickest nights to go by.
Yeah, it definitely flew by fast. So. We just basically chatted most of the time.
But during the chat, learned some interesting stuff, though.
Yeah, definitely. Well, he did end up covering a lot of the questions that I had just by talking. So
yeah. That was pretty much it too. Yeah, there was some questions within that, so it's like I don't even really need to ask these questions. He's just talking about it, so
right,
it works. That was interesting though. The Broom Pinot. You saw Silent Night, Deadly Night 5, right?
Yeah,
yeah. So that was
I saw. I think last week or the week before. But yeah,
I wanted to.
When he was going with, I didn't know where he was going with that broomstick at first. I think he called it on.
Like you stuck the broomstick where?
Yeah, that's where my mind was going for a second, and
I started to say the same thing. I'm like, we're just thinking that.
And then he called me out, so I think he figured out that that's where my mind was going.
Yeah. Only on the House of Horrors.
Right. But yeah, my news report, I wanted to get it done so badly, but we was in such a rush to try to get out here. I did not have time Friday to do it. So hopefully, because we're not leaving until Monday afternoon, so hopefully Tuesday I will have a news report. There's no way I'm going to have time Monday.
Right.
Especially after our trip, because it takes 3 hours to get home. So there's no way I'm going to drive 3 hours, unload the car, and then be able to sit and film something. Yeah. So hopefully by Tuesday I will have one. I wanted to knock one out real quick Friday, but trying to get everything ready, and it just didn't happen.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I got an email earlier, and I wish I would have had more time to plan this. So over a month and a half ago or whatever, it's been a while, I completely forgot about it. I just sent an email to Horror Hound and, about their press and everything getting in. I said, I don't know if I'll get the days off, but if I do, I figured they'd email me pretty quickly, I just got an email today, which I have, no hotel, no plans to go. They're like, oh, we'll have 2 passes for you this weekend. I'm like, really? You tell me 5 days before? like I'm sure every hotel room is probably packed.
Probably.
I mean, you tell me this now. I mean, thank you. I mean, I'm glad, but I don't. And I looked. It's 11-hour drive, probably about 11-hour drive. But
because that's in Indiana, isn't it?
It's in Cincinnati. Yeah.
Oh, Cincinnati. Okay, yeah, they got one there too.
I think that was the one that weekend is, but whatever it was or was it Indiana? Well, whichever one it is, because they do it at, different places. But,
right, yeah.
But yeah.
They have one in Indiana, and Cincinnati's another one, and they got one somewhere else too. I can't remember where the third one is, but.
So I'm just going to be like, well, thank you, appreciate it, but hold them for next time, and I'll come for sure. I'll plan it out. I mean, I don't know how soon everybody else got their messages about that, other people, press going in. But like I said, I totally wasn't even thinking about it, being busy doing other stuff, and I didn't hear back from it. And then all of a sudden, my email today, hi.
Wow, it doesn't even give you, some places, like workplaces, make you ask off like a week or two, sometimes a month ahead of time. If you would have had to ask off for work, there would have been no way.
I mean, I'm off on Saturdays and Sundays, not Sundays, Fridays and Saturdays. Yeah.
Well, some people don't have like a schedule like that where they have to ask off.
Yeah, I was surprised that I finally got my Fridays and Saturdays off. So, but oh well, next show. So, but I was just like, gee. But also, if I got a room somewhere, I would have to have Wi-Fi because, of course, next Saturday we got Tommy McLaughlin coming on. So I would definitely, set aside time for that anyway. But even at that time of night anyway, nothing's going on conventional. I mean, they'll go after stuff, but I can always, go after the show. But either way, oh well. And then I should have brought up the link, but this campaign for the Indiegogo for Naked Cannibal Campers 2, Season of the Bitch, and Felissa Rose is going to be in it also. They're doing they're still raising money for it, and I'm actually going to be killed in the movie. So I'm going to be going down in December. Don't know the exact date yet or what exactly, but
are you going to be naked?
I'm not going to be naked. I'm just going to be killed by naked women. That's all.
I was just teasing since the title.
Well, no, it is a 18 up movie.
Yeah, I kind of figured.
Yeah. It's not on Tubi. It's not on Tubi. But
Yeah, I
actually,
figured.
the first movie. Well, I mean, if you do contribute to the campaign, you can get the first movie, the second movie, and the comic with it all. As a perk. But they also, last I checked, there's actually a few copies on Amazon to sell. The Blu-ray or DVDs on sale. It was an interesting movie. It was. So I'm assuming I'm going to be torn apart or eaten. I don't know. We'll see. But it should be fun, though. Of course, I had to watch it, see what I was getting myself into. So
right. Yeah, when you said that, I was like, "Oh, we're going to see Steve naked."
I might as well just strip now. There we go. A sneak peek of what's to come.
Yeah, it's probably just the girls running around. They don't have very much nudity for guys anymore.
No, not.
At least not in horror movies, anyway.
No. Yeah, not many horror movies I can think of.
Mm-hmm.
Not that I want to, but there's a topic for next week. How much male nudity in one horror movie at 2 minutes would be like Mr.
Sorry, I don't know how loud that is, but we're near a train track.
I hear a train going by.
I got the window open because it's hot in here and we got the fan going, so you probably really hear it. But yeah, we're really close to train tracks. So.
Yeah, I heard it going by.
I figured she barked a couple times, but it wasn't near as bad as what she did when Vince was on earlier.
Yeah, when Nicholas Vince was on, yeah. He was going at it.
Like, yeah, that's because my aunt just pulled up, and there was people outside, but there was just some dogs barking, so there wasn't enough to keep her going this time. But yeah, last time it was people right outside the window she could see.
Yeah. And she was jumped up in that window too. Like, what the heck?
Yeah, she thinks she's a cat sometimes.
Yeah, I can see that.
Well, she's grown up with cats, so I've had a cat like the whole time that we've had her.
Hey, you hear that train? Oh, that's right.
Yeah, I could probably walk to the train tracks. It's not that far. And that's thinking me, like hobbles. And the motorcycles.
Yep. Toss some pennies down, let the train run over and squish them. Flatten them out. Yeah, not much else going on really, besides my almost going to Horror Hound, but
yeah, not too much going on here besides not being home, but got to see my aunt. I haven't seen her since we didn't see her at all last year, obviously. It's been over a year since the last time I seen my aunt.
Yeah.
I can't even remember what was the last holiday we seen her. And then my brother came with his girlfriend. They just got engaged, so I got to see her. That's the only second time I've ever met her, when she seen her tonight.
Yeah, at least got that get together going on after a year and a half or year or whatever it's been. It's pretty much been like that too. It's like, yeah, same thing with my aunt and uncle. I got to go over there now that we're all vaccinated and good. So,
right. Yeah, we all got our vaccinations. Mom got hers. I don't think Dad got his, but he never goes anywhere, so it's not like he's going to get it from anywhere. But yeah, I'm assuming my aunt is. Yeah, it's because we come down. Usually, we come down like Easter, Thanksgiving, Christmas, and one time over the summer. That way, they because he used to see my grandpa or my son used to stay here. Like pretty much, me and my son would stay here before we moved to Wisconsin. So he used to be around my parents like all the time. So now he's like gets to see them like 4 times a year. So we'll come down and spend a weekend or week or however whatever works out.
right.
So yeah, last year was kind of tough because we missed a couple, at least one holiday. It might have been 2, but and the 3-hour drive is always fun.
A 3-hour tour, right?
Right. Yeah, we had a couple of them too with my trucks. It broke down. It broke down on the way down at the halfway point. Then we had to like limp it back home and take another car down. I haven't drove my car since. I miss my truck.
Yeah, I've just been talking about Surreal State since brought it up. I watched that. I got one more episode of that to watch. I think I'm caught up on most of my shows. But well, then again, it's hard to keep up with much of anything. So many shows to watch. It's ridiculous.
Yeah, I know I'm not caught up. I started working like a week ahead of time on the interviews for tonight because I knew I'd be so busy trying to get ready and get everything ready. My son started school last week, and then trying to get ready to come up here, and so I have to get the house ready because the cat's gonna be there by himself, so I have to like stash food at different places, make sure his litter box is good, and make sure everything that he could get into where he gonna get troubles put away, and oh, the neighbor, I shouldn't say he'd be all the way alone. The neighbor pops in every now and then, make sure he's good, but other than that, he's gonna be home by himself.
20 hours. Oh, I don't know what time it is. Was it 8:25? Oh, okay. Dude, they just said 20 hours each way for him to get to Orlando.
Oh wow!
Because I guess you're going to the Phantasm convention. That's is it September? Or, no, it's this month, I think, right? I'll have to look that up. I was thinking
it would probably take me, if I drove, it would probably take me approximately 20 hours. Because I remember when we lived here in the town I'm in right now, and I drove to, I know I drove to Atlanta, that took 14 hours. So from Atlanta to Florida, I would assume would be maybe about the same, or from here to Florida, I shouldn't say, not from Atlanta to Georgia. So yeah, it'd probably be about 20 some odd hours just from here. So and add another 3 hours from Wisconsin. So God, yeah, that'd be almost a whole day.
October 1st through 3rd. That's right. I mean, I'm still debating because I got Spooky Empire that like is just a couple weeks right after that. So making trips back and forth. So like I said, I do have my days off Friday and Saturday, of course. So even if I went down for a day or whatever, and then just stayed one day at my uncle's and then drove back, be back for Sunday. Because luckily I'm only like 4 hours, so that's not bad. Or 3.5 hours, really. So
yeah, it's better than our. Because I would think it'd be about 20 hours, if not 24 hours, for me to drive to Florida. Just to guesstimate without Googling, I would say it'd be about. Because I know when we went to Florida when I was 14, it took like a day.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it's probably be about 20 some odd hours.
Oh yeah, all that Halloween cast. So yeah,
Nice.
some good people there. If I could, I'd go to every single convention.
Right? They're so expensive, though. I haven't been to one in years.
Yeah. It's like traveling, and then you spend so much money there, or you want to spend money there. It's like
right.
Gotta pick and choose. It's so hard. It's like,
unless I don't remember what my last one was. I know one of my favorite ones was Mad Mobster, or Mad Monster. I think they went by both names.
The Mad Monster, yeah.
Yeah, it was in Chicago, and it was in February, and it was on Friday the 13th, and Kane Hodder dressed up as Jason 7. And so that was real fun. It was like inside of a hotel room, or not hotel room, but inside the hotels, and they had the convention in like the convention center or whatever at the hotel.
So we've got a ton of Halloween. Was that 1 and 3? I'm trying to see. Oh, Halloween 1, 3, 2018, and Kills. Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing Halloween Kills.
Yeah, I am too. I don't know if our theater. I saw it opened, but I'm hardly ever out that way to know if it's still or what's playing out there or whatnot. I've honestly never been to the movie theater in our town since we moved up there.
So a friend of mine, him and his daughter, which I'm off Fridays now. Like I've always worked until recently, you know. But he told me that they went and saw Candyman at the drive-in movie theater about an hour away or so, and that they go like every Friday. I'm like, well, dang, I'll have to come with you. I'll chip in on some gas and have to go in and watch it, especially if they're going to go see Halloween Kills at the drive-in. That'd be cool.
Right.
I think they have 2 movies. I forget what the other one he said, but they had Candyman and something else. And he goes, yeah, it's cheap. You know, you get to be outside, you know, watch it there. And
yeah, I saw that there's a drive-in that just opened up about, I think, a half hour or 45 minutes away from where we live. And I've been meaning to go out there, and the food prices don't look that bad either. And it looks kind of fun to go out there, but I just haven't went out there because I hate, honestly, driving at night. Now, you have to drive up there and back at night, and that's about the only thing that's been holding me back is going.
Yeah.
Especially a way I don't know. It's not as bad. I know it sounds weird because it's a longer distance, but driving from home down to my parents, because it's all highway and I kind of know it. So I've been back and forth several times, but going like an opposite direction that I don't know at night is a little bit different. So I've kind of held back on going and checking the theater out, drive-in anyway. But yeah, I want to see Kills, but I'll probably have to wait till it comes streaming. So I don't know if our theater even carries horror movies.
Yeah. Like one theater I worked at, there would be another theater. Like sometimes if we had a movie, they wouldn't get that movie and vice versa. And it sucked because sometimes when the movie I really wanted to see, we didn't get that one. And I'm like, you bastards. It's like, just send all the movies. Who cares if it's at another theater or not? But,
right.
It's like, it was fun working at the theater. See movies the night before. We'd preview them and stuff, you know, had to, you know, put the film up and make sure everything worked all right. So I would usually stay like Thursdays and just watch the movies the night before they came out. Like, yep, nice, whole theater to myself, have some popcorn. Like, yep, this is nice. I like this.
At least they have popcorn and stuff. I never worked at the theater, so I don't know, but I imagine it'd be fun. I had a friend that worked there. He gave me a lot of movie posters. I should say a lot. He gave me a few movie posters.
Yeah. I had it's so mad. I had so many posters that I gotten from Blockbuster, and I had them rolled up, and they were on my floor because there were so many of them. And there was one night the bathroom was like real close to my room at the time, everything. And I don't know what happened, but I got flooded and it ruined the posters. I was so mad. I had so many of them. I can't remember what. So many good posters, though.
I got to figure out what to do with my movies in the basement at home, because every time it rains a lot, the basement floods a little bit. As of right now, it hasn't went near to where they're at, but I'm afraid that one of these times we might get too much rain and it's going to go over there. But we have a drain on the floor, so unless that gets clogged up, then we don't have to worry about it. But I'm still kind of nervous about it.
I have to get some bins or containers or something, and then just put the movies in there.
I have shelves here for like movies that if I had room in the car, I would totally take back with me. I could probably put them all up on my shelves, but I don't think I could fit these in our car unless I pin my son down in the back seat.
Strap him up on top, take all the movies, not vice versa.
Right.
All right. Well, unless there's anything else, I think I'm just going to call it a night. Unless there's anything else.
I can't think of anything else. I know my regular scheduled program shows didn't get posted this week, but I will try get it done Tuesday. And I did record, like, remember I said I was recording last week's show and I was going to, like, immediately post it over. I did something wrong and the audio was all messed up. So I re-recorded it and I was going to go edit it, and then I got busy and I never got around to it. So that will go eventually, but But yeah, I said, oh, I'd post that audio like by Monday, and it never happened. So when I went to go edit, I'd screwed something up, and I had an echo in it. So it was like we would talk, and then it was like an echo. You could hear us talk again. I don't know what I did, but I screwed something up.
Yeah,
so,
no echo.
Right. So it was like horrible audio. I was like, okay, I got to fix this. I can't post it like that. So I went and I did re-record it. I just never got around to editing it and posting it because I was just so busy trying to get things ready to go. So hopefully Tuesday I have a lot to do.
Yeah. So next week will be fun with Tom McLaughlin. I'm looking forward to talking to him. So
yeah,
since I missed camp being sick, it's still cool though. Get to talk to him, and so I got to watch. Since it's been a while, sometimes they come back. It's been a long time since I watched that. I'm gonna have to.
Yeah, I own both of those.
So, I mean, Jason Lives. I've pretty much seen a lot in that camp, so I mean, I might watch it again just for the heck of it. But first, sometimes they come back. So.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. It was probably one of the first things I do when I get home. Let's go get my DVD and watch it.
Mm-hmm.
I should probably make sure I do at least watch it or bring it upstairs so I can show it off, show that I own it.
Oh, there was. I'll mention them since they mentioned us. The Two Bearded Losers podcast. They gave us a shout out for Tom McLaughlin since because last week they were actually doing a Tom McLaughlin night talking about Jason Lives and another movie. I forget offhand. I'll have to check it out and watch. But in the beginning of it, said since they were doing Tom McLaughlin, it was like, well, the House of Horrors is actually going to have Tom McLaughlin live. So that was pretty cool of them. So
nice.
Anyone who's watching this, check out the Two Bearded Losers podcast. They do it on Saturdays. I'm sorry, I forget the time, but you can look up the official YouTube channel. It's just Two Bearded Losers. So
nice. I'll have to look that up. I don't think I've ever watched them.
So, yep.
Nice. Two Bearded Losers. I have to. That's an interesting name.
Yeah, Two Bearded Losers. Can you tell they have mustaches?
I would hope.
So,
I would hope they at least have beards too.
Yes, they do have beards. They are the Two Bearded Losers. That'd be funny if they were completely bald. We're the Two Bearded Losers. That's why we're losers, because we lost our beards.
Right? Yeah, what would happen if one of them shaved?
I don't know. You'd have to find another bearded loser, I guess. That's a good question. They better not shave. Well, I mean, shave entirely. I mean, of course, whatever length, but
right.
So, alrighty then. I guess I'll call it a night. Thanks for everyone who's watching and rewatching, and be sure to check out Tom McLaughlin next week.
Yeah, be exciting, fun.
Yes. All right. Have a good night. Enjoy. Bye.